We need it. Oxygen. It's why we breathe. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Biz Stories. And as we do every week, I know you guys are getting tired of hearing it from me, but we bring you amazing guests. This week, no exception. Justin Abrams, he is the CEO of REO, but it's spelled like ARYO. Aryo Consulting Group, live from Boston, and he is going to get into a little game of myth busting when it comes to lead generation. Hello, Justin.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so glad you're on the show. And for those of you that don't know the name, Justin has worked with hundreds, as in approaching 400 small businesses, not to mention a lot of the big top pharma brands, which we never get in trouble for saying brand names, so we avoid that. But some of the big ones that everyone knows, you know the logos, you know the names. And what he's done systematically is find a way for companies to grow and scale without being wholly dependent on ads and some of the traditional methods. So we're going to get into it. Justin, first, for those of the folks that are having the audio experience, we'd like to give them the visual. Who are you? What do you look like? What room are you sitting in? Give our folks a little context.
Sure. It's probably best that people are not seeing the visual of my face, but yeah, I am Justin Abrams. I am based in right outside of Boston. I am in my home in right outside of Boston in Newton. And yeah, just a little bit about us is I run a consulting firm. It's really focused on helping, I would say, small to medium-sized businesses of many different industries. I can talk about just about anything on that subject.
Well, which is good. And for the visual here, I'm sitting in a mottled gray camel black t-shirt in a room with a teal wall and a really funky sculpture that comes right off the wall, and it's my power lightning bolt. So, all right. So with that, Justin, what are you really good at? You, not just so much the business and what you do. What are you really good at?
Yeah, I think two parts. Number one, I'm really good at being extremely unbiased in trying to find the right solution for a business. And within that, I'm really good at thinking as an entrepreneur, because most businesses are trying to sell you something, and they don't really have that long-term goal. So I would say I have the unbiased way of kind of guiding you in the right direction and actually caring for your longevity.
And I like this. I think that the world needs more of this, and unbiased, unfiltered, because everybody, as you said, has their agenda. Buy my thing. Click here for only 99.99. You can get the secrets to right to unlimited lead generation. And I think we've all had just about enough of that.
Definitely. And if you think about this from the medical perspective, it's very common to go to a primary care physician. They're not necessarily the experts on whatever, ailment you might have, but you have no problem going to someone to then refer you to someone else based off of their unbiased opinions. But for whatever reason in business, people just skip that step and just say, "Oh, I have pre-diagnosed myself." And like everyone has been on WebMD, like it is going to tell you you have the worst ailment in the world. When in reality, like it's probably best to just go to a specialist to then refer you to the right person.
Well, that's just it. I think that brings up a really good point. Just about everybody I know uses Gen AI in some format. Everybody has their favorites. They like Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, blah, blah, right? Pick your favorite. Do you think businesses are too heavily reliant on what Gen AI is telling them what to do with respect to leads and growth?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was similar to before, and they're also it's not just generative AI, it's also YouTubers, content creators. Pretty much everyone on the internet is planning to sell you something. And I have, gone down the rabbit hole in every single one of them. I can tell you which ones work. and which ones don't work, but primarily um, every single person is trying to sell you something. And so, I mean, I can't find an example. So it's really just good to understand like what's the pros and cons of each. It's not that none of them work. It's just that you need to compare it to industry experience and past case studies that are actually provable. And it's far better to work with someone who's seen it actually physically implemented versus just taking a salesperson's, this is great, right? Everyone says sales will sell you, and then the operations, they just hand it off.
That's right. Or I've heard where I thought you were going is that sales will sell you and operations will kick you to the curb or keep you coming back, right? It's all of that whole devil in the details and the implementation. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, the salesperson always is going to overpromise.
And we all know the saying, right? Under promise, over deliver, but people get it wrong, right? What is it? Over promise, and not deliver, right? Is that the plan? Because it really seems that way, having purchased many, many things myself. Oh, I'll try this. I'll try this method, try this. Hundreds, thousands later, and you're like, no, not so much. It didn't work. Gave it a really good Girl Scout try, but it did nothing. So we like to give a tip up front. Justin, what's your best tip up front for small to mid-sized businesses right now who are thinking about lead generation? What should they do or not do?
Yeah, the first thing I would do is just try to understand where your marketing is being spent and where your new customers are coming from. I would say the majority of the people that we're working with, if they are running marketing, are running it basically 50-50 Google and Meta. And while that is okay, and I'm not opposed to that, those costs, like we're living in this kind of post-tariff world. Everyone's freaking out over their tariffs going up, 30, 20%, 50%. However, Meta and Google's costs have gone up by 4x. So no one is talking about that, not nearly in the same way that they're thinking about tariffs. And yet, marketing spend is, it's if it's going up 4x, the average company spending 5% of their revenue on marketing. Well, now it's turning to 20%. Like that doesn't logically make any sense. And so I would just say, take a look at your historical spending on your ad campaigns and then kind of reshuffle it and see like, is this actually going to sustain itself? Because Meta and Google are not going to be dropping their prices anytime soon.
Let's get into that because I'm glad that you've made that observation and stated that. I've seen it too. Over the last 2 years, I have seen a meteoric increase in the price of Google ads, Facebook ads, and posts. And yet I'm seeing the ROI going down and down and down. Fewer clicks, more ad blockers, more scrolling past. And I've done the A/B testing, good ads, great ads, crappy ads, done some of those too. And it can't be that none of them are hitting despite all of the money going in, all the keyword research, this, that, done by the professionals. So I think there is a bigger trend going on, and I'm not sure that advertising is, well, I'm not sure the juice is worth the squeeze unless you're in that mega thousands of dollars per month. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I also think that most businesses are a bit stuck in that they have to, there's no real alternative. Um, for years it was Facebook, or for years it was Google, and then it turned into Facebook, and then it turned into Instagram, and then it now is kind of moving towards TikTok. But the major trend with that is just the age demographic. And so it's kind of like a greater fool's theory. Like there will always be younger people who will make decisions that are maybe not as based in rationality, but what is the next thing beyond TikTok? Or like, is your product really going to be great to sell on TikTok? Maybe if it's like clothing or D2C, kind of food products, but not necessarily is that the case with TikTok. And so that's kind of the theory that I have is like, you really need to think beyond those.
And so we're going to get into the whole thing, myth busting on lead generation. But first, you've had the opportunity to work with, as we've said, hundreds and hundreds of clients. So you've, in my opinion, pretty much seen it, done it, tried it all, right? Tell us what businesses are getting right And tell us what businesses are getting wrong.
Yeah, so I would say it really isn't necessarily, it's oftentimes about the industry as well, and certain features that we're seeing, I would say is a lot of the really smart people that were in tech are getting laid off, or maybe they're getting furloughed, or maybe they're dealing with that. And so for the past few years, and typically it's like a lot of the private equity folks, they're deciding I would rather run a like a quote unquote boring business. So landscaper, HVAC, plumbing, they are less worried about AI because you can't have an AI tool fix your plumbing, at least in 2025. And it's pretty much recession proof. Like people still need to get plumbing done, HVAC, landscaping, etc. So what I would say is that people that are doing it right are the people that understand kind of the combination of the digital space and the physical space. And you are seeing a lot of people go into like just revamping a website and really optimizing for the conversion rate when someone's on site and really optimizing for, say, SEO, which is historically, if you're, let's say 55 years old, maybe you weren't really around to like figure out all of this conversion rate optimization. So you have these like tech guys or tech gals that are going into these like less competitive spaces than say, trying to compete Apple versus Google versus Meta. They're going to be like super, super optimized.
Gotcha. So any thoughts on where the first place a business should look? Like you said, so okay, talked about marketing. Where's their marketing spend? Where's it working? Are there certain rules of thumb that they should follow if you're not getting X percent or fold ROI? If you're investing in Instagram ads or boosting or this or that, that you should or should not continue the practice? Any guidelines?
Yeah, so I have noticed a lot of people use this 3 to 1 return on investment. Like three, if you're spending 5% of your marketing, you should be making 3x return on investment. All right, this is taken from software businesses years and years ago, and it's just kind of stayed over and over. People just like keep repeating it. The problem with that is that software is an 80% margin business. Blue collar service businesses are closer to like 50% margin businesses, and the payout isn't necessarily on a monthly recurring basis, right? If a plumber comes and you're running an ad on Google and it costs you $50 a lead and you make a sale for, let's say, $150 at a 50% margin, and the guy has to go out and fix it, like you're maybe making 2x return on investment, which is okay, but does that scale up? Is that the cash flow that you're needed for your growth, or are there alternatives? So, I would just say it really depends on your margins, but I would try and go closer to, instead of like an LTV over acquisition cost, try to think of like how quickly do I get paid and what's the profit on this? And can I at least get like a 2 to 3x return on investment upfront?
You talked about LTV, and I'm sure folks in the audience know, but that's long-term value of the customer or lifetime value. I've heard it used both ways, but it means the same thing, right? If you get the customer once and they come in, how much money are they going to spend with you over time? That's really what
Exactly.
that is. So one of the really exciting reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is because you've got all this experience. Like I said, you have talked to just about every business here in and around the country, small to mid-size and super-sized. Let's get into the myth busting. You said there's a lot of things that people think about lead generation, but you're here to bust the myths. So bust away, Justin. Let's bust a few.
Go for it. Any particular industry, anything you want to ask specific? I'm happy to give you any myth busting.
Okay, so we have a lot of folks who are listening in the beauty and retail space. A lot of them have moved over to TikTok Shop to sell their beauty and retail products, style, accessories, all this kind of thing there. So, and TikTok, of course, has it make it affordable, make it simple, click and be able to buy. So, any myths that you can bust there with respect to TikTok Shop? and advertising to promote your fashion and beauty goods?
Yeah, so I would try out so the biggest problem with TikTok is you get like a lot of it's just constant, it's just algorithm, algorithm, algorithm. So a lot of times what we're doing is we're testing out instead of paying for like, 10 or 15 different ad creatives, we're just sending out a really, really low cost briefs to 10 to 20 different influencers. We don't want to make a ton of money. Like, we don't want to necessarily push these people to be making. This isn't like Kim Kardashian is, ultimately doing it, but we're just trying to get creativity. Once we find the right script, which we, by the way, we won't necessarily know, we can run really low cost ads for each of those, let's say 10 to 15 to 20 different creatives. And then like I really like running like micro campaigns. So each of these we run at $10 a day. We'll know within a few days like which has the best hook, which has the best personality. And then you can really, it no longer is like A to B testing, it's like A to Z testing. You're testing a massive amount of creatives, scripts, influencers, strategies, whatever they want, let them go at it. And obviously if they get picked, then it's like winner take all. Um, and so I think it's a really powerful way to grow on TikTok. And the beautiful thing about TikTok is like their algorithm is still really well geared towards people in that like space of beauty and fashion and get readies with me. So there might not be necessarily one that's the best performing, and it might perform differently on different subgroups. But you just have to be constantly testing. And I know that's not like easy to do, but that's what I find works best on TikTok.
Okay, great to know. So you just busted the myth, and I think a few heads have just exploded. I could hear them right through the screen here. That people are thinking, "Oh, A/B testing, that's already too much. Too many, two choices. Are you kidding me?" Now you're saying A to Z, right? So 26 choices or more. And so I think that just blew some minds there. Okay, another myth busting on lead generation. A lot of our folks in the audience sell a consultative service. It might be related to business coaching. It might be related to digital marketing or AI automation. And a lot of them are going through the process of writing a book or having the book written for them in various ways, be it through a little Gen AI bot or somebody that they've paid to write for it. And they're advertising on LinkedIn because LinkedIn costs have come down to compete with all these other, behemoths that are out there posting opportunities for ads. So the question is, what should these folks that are flogging their book to try to bring more consultative sales in? What should they be looking at with ads, doing or not doing?
Yeah, so I think the majority of these folks are running a standard sales funnel. So they're using, maybe they're putting out their content on LinkedIn and their call to action is, let's say, the book. And I don't know, the book could be $10, it could be $50. And then they're basically hoping that they can run an email marketing campaign to get these people to then buy the high ticket products, right? It's a very standard way for running a business. The problem is that it trickles down. So it starts at the top and then it goes down. What I like to do is instead run a flywheel strategy. So instead of it going down, it goes circular. So you can run your Instagram or LinkedIn posts, and I would just boost them. They're relatively cheap compared to like just running, direct call to action ads. And then I would send them instead to an email marketing newsletter. So you could write, let's just say you're writing it on AI automation. You maybe come out with something once a week. And you can use either Substack or Beehive. There's a million tools. But now you have like two channels, which are basically quote unquote free. However, the difference is running it on LinkedIn, you have to pay money for. Running it on, let's say, Beehive, you can actually get ad money from. So you're essentially breaking even on the ads that you're running just on the newsletter itself. And now you have a kind of circular loop, which you can then add to your funnel. So then you sell them on the book, but you instead of selling it for $10, you might be able to sell it for $20 or $10 plus a consultation fee, because you're a paid subscriber, you're paid or unpaid newsletter subscriber. And the beautiful thing is this all kind of rolls around together. So people, if you have, let's say, 10 newsletter subscribers, well, people don't trust you as an authority. But if you have 1,000, because again, you're boosting it to the newsletter, you're not boosting it to the book. So there's a lot more value, and people understand it, and people can share it. So you're running the beautiful thing with the flywheel is like the more people there are in the loop, the more value you get, and then you can charge more. So that's how I would definitely add a newsletter campaign, and just update it once a month, or once a week rather. I think it can be really powerful, and the return on investment, your conversion rate goes from, let's say, 2 to 5% to like 20%.
Talk about a weekly newsletter. Everybody's emails are flooded. People have all kinds of email minions and tools to and rules, right? To respond to emails, not to respond, to punt them to some dead folder, whatever, dumpster, wherever they want it, right? Is a weekly newsletter still the right cadence, or if things slow down and should be a month at a time with high value? What are your thoughts on this?
I think it has to be just extremely high value. Um, like anyone can write a newsletter with AI now, and I can give you some like kind of regurgitated nonsense. I actually am a big fan of like video content as well. So you might want to just, if you're making like a webinar, or if you're on a podcast, and you can publish that and give someone 15 minutes. But I do think you need to get like really in the weeds. And I think it's much better to just find that like 1,000 hyper trusting individuals that really love your content. I would not go really broad and just try to make like the marketing newsletter and just have it created with AI. I think like we're going to see like a removal of all that stuff, because it's just not adding any value. So if you don't have the time to dedicate to something that's like really, really high value, and you're writing this, 3, 4, 5 hours for the month, it's okay. Just try to do that in the future. Like try to remove all of the sloppy content that you can create and make the really, really, really best content you can.
All right. So some of the other industries that folks are in are all about providing, again, a service, right? And we've got a lot of small business owners, as you mentioned, they do yard cleanups, things like that, home organization, plumbers, we've got a few of those businesses. What should they do to get noticed? Because, like everything else, right? If you go on Angel's List or this or that or Thumbtack, Rabbit, whatever it is, 100 people will come up in your zip code, yard cleanup, yard crew, and you get all kinds. How do you stand out with your ad?
Yeah, so first of all, my wife is a home organizer, so I have firsthand experience on this. So it depends how much they want to spend on their business. But if you're really going and starting a business, or you're maybe trying to get really small, I would just post on Facebook groups. Find groups that are near you. You can also do this on Nextdoor. You can do this on Reddit. Like I tell my wife, I'm like, spend $0 your first year on ads. I just want you to show up to some people that this resonates with. And there's hundreds of Facebook groups for local businesses to post in. The Facebook group of Greater Boston, right? Facebook group of Minnesota. Like just post. And you might not pick up $500,000 a year, but you'd be surprised. Like you might be able to get, and my wife, for example, she's pulling in maybe, 5 to 7 new clients a month. Of course, you have to aggressively post, but again, there's no cost to this. So once you're able to do that, then it starts to get more fun. So I would definitely focus on getting as many reviews as possible and slowly improving your SEO. For example, my wife's business, to be the number one organizer in a home organizer in the area, I think she only has to get like 15 reviews or something. Like it's not that competitive. If this is lawyers in Manhattan, then that's going to be way harder. Or landscaping in Florida, like that's a super hard market. But just slowly but surely try to be the best in your really small area, and then slowly expanding that radius. So It might be really hard to be the number one lawyer in Dallas, Texas, but maybe in a small neighborhood of Dallas, you might be able to be number one. So then you have your Facebook groups and you have SEO working, and then only then uh, can you start running ads.
I want to talk about Google reviews because everybody knows that you need them, but everybody knows how hard they are to get. And I have a number of businesses in my client base and folks that I've spoken to at various events. They've only got a handful of reviews. And they've been in business for a few years, but they're really struggling to get more reviews. A, they're shy to ask for them. B, they do ask for them, but clients are just like, maybe tomorrow, maybe not. And then tomorrow never comes, right? So they don't ever get the review. And you don't want to keep hounding the client to say, hey, I need that review. What do people do to get more? Bust some myths around that.
Yeah, all right. This is a real myth. Okay, this is kind of some inside sauce, actually. So I've worked with two companies that have beyond, like way, way beyond anyone in their area. In fact, one of them is a car wash, which I don't know, last time you've reviewed your car wash, it's not very common. They have, I think, like 10,000 reviews, or it's like something
Jeez.
astronomical. They're adding, 10 to 15 reviews a day. So how do they do it? Okay, so they tell people we are always going to ask for reviews. However, if Justin, who is washing your car today, is mentioned on the review, we will give him a $5 tip. So now it changes the onus of, I don't want to give someone I don't want to give someone a review because it's a pain in the ass. Now it's, oh, well, what am I not going to help this guy out? A lot of these are immigrants, so there's a really like it's really works well, and they are just crushing it. And all of their reviews are, hey, Laura Lynn was so great, she helped me out, 10 out of 10. It's amazing.
Well, that is brilliant. I love it. And I could see the potential there. One of my clients is a nonprofit that supports returning citizens. And for people that don't know the term, in New Jersey, the terms ex-convict, incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, these are all banned names now. You have to
Hmm,
use the term returning citizen. So our government is really focused on naturalizing people that have come out of the carceral system and getting them back and plugged into society to thrive, right? They've done their time, they've been released because they feel that they're going to contribute, right, to society now. So I want to pass that tip along because I think that that could really help if everybody's getting a little bit extra that goes into it. Why not, right? We all want to do good. And if our do good effort doesn't hit our pocketbook, it just hits our time, which is big. I get that. But it just, you said, it just changes the mindset. And well, now I'm not just giving that stupid company a review, that stupid car wash. I'm helping a guy out. That's huge.
exactly. Exactly. If you think about, and I have businesses that are struggling as well, but like maybe there's no, like I have a bookkeeper, right? It's very hard. I mean, there's no value that I'm able to tip the bookkeeper. It's like just one person and maybe one other person. So instead, we say for every review you get, we'll donate to a charity, like a homeless shelter or a food pantry or something. So I'm not allowed to pay you for reviews, but again, like you just want to be able to like make it so that it's almost rude to not give it out. It's like you're not going to help donate to this, local charity if you just give us 2 minutes of your time.
Right? Shame on you. Tisk tisk. And for those that
Yep.
didn't have the video experience, I was doing the tisk tisk motion. But that's just it. What you've touched on there reminds me of Alex Hormozzi's $100 million deal, right? You have to make them an offer that they can't refuse, right? A la Godfather. And if you're saying, geez, you don't want to help somebody out like a charity? Hey, what's wrong with you, right? Or you don't want to help a guy out that's a returning citizen? You're not going to give him a tip? What are you doing?
Exactly.
You nuts?
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. As we're winding down our show here, give us another big tip or aha that you've had in your journey of entrepreneurship.
My personal journey or just in general?
You answer it any way you want.
All right. So, I mean, I think that being an entrepreneur, starting a business, it's extremely hard. I would say the most important metric is thinking about working capital and how much money you have every month. Um, bills are monthly, right? The mortgage is monthly, your credit card statement is monthly, groceries are weekly, right? So you need to really think through. It's easy to look at a business and just say, oh, it's making 20% margins, so I will make this much money for the year. That's true, but it can often be, especially in some of these seasonal businesses, landscaping, snow removal, like you might be making 90% of your money in like 2 or 3 or 4 months. So I would say uh, the biggest problem that I find with clients and myself is just not really thinking through the monthly working capital that they need. And a lot of times when they get the money up front, they not to say that they're being stupid with it, but they don't really think through. They just see like this large amount of money coming in. They don't think through dividing that by 12 months. So if I can give anyone guidance, it's just really be conservative on your working capital. And if you're taking on a loan, again, that's a monthly servicing of a loan, right? The SBA, that's a lot of money that you have to deal with every single month. Otherwise, you go bankrupt. Like everyone knows not to go bankrupt, but no one really they're looking at the financials on a maybe a yearly basis. They don't really see the monthly and on that cash flow reserves.
Oh, that's so true. I've been burned by that myself. It's, you look, you're doing this, you're doing that, you come up with 1,000 excuses, and then all of a sudden you go, "Oh, what the horror?" Right? That's how it goes.
Absolutely.
So, where can folks find you, Justin, CEO of Aryo Consulting Group in Boston? Now that I've given
Sure.
away half the secret of where they can find you, but where and how can they find you?
Yeah, so my website is ARYOCG for consulting group .com. They can find me on LinkedIn. I am under Justin Abrams, ABRAMS. I'm all over the place, but I'm very available to chat. I love talking about business problems, business successes, and just really helping small businesses thrive. They're the backbone of the economy. Like that's my goal is to help the backbone of the economy versus the large players.
And you've been doing that, just even on this show, all the valuable tips that you've shared. Do you have one more parting thought that you'd like to share with our audience about what to do, how to do it?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone or any of your listeners maybe like on the fence of starting a business or is it mostly business owners?
Most of them have an established business. They may be eking along. Some are doing really well and thriving and just looking to get to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say is I recommend going on sites like Upwork or Fiverr. Especially, I found that it's very hard to find talent for like small jobs here and there locally. Like everyone is having hiring issues. But with Upwork, like I'm a big fan of it. I get a lot of my leads through Upwork. But you can either set it up as a business owner so that you're hiring people for short-term projects, like literally anything you can imagine. There's someone who is an absolute expert at this and they're charging, minuscule amounts of money. Or if you're selling a white collar services, you can actually sell it on Upwork. And again, like we're adding a lot of clients that because it's a great filter for quality. So I would definitely look and just, the earth is flat. Like we can all kind of find really good talent all over the place. And I think it can really help your margins if you're kind of, just hunting along every month.
Excellent. And we do have a number of listeners too. So Penn State University folks and their accelerator and business school, they simulcast our podcasts. So that's always exciting and we appreciate all their support, that's for sure. Okay, last question. It is our signature question, right? And actually, I should shout out to, well, since I yelled out to Penn State, so John Gamba, Josh Chernigoff. So thank you. We thank all of you. All right, signature question, Justin. If we peeked into your closet and we looked at the shoes, all kinds of boots, footwear, all the stuff that you have, and there is one pair in there that just speaks to your personality and that makes you feel like $1 million when you wear them? And it says, yeah, this is me, Justin Abrams. Describe what we're looking at.
Oh my God, that is such a great question. It would probably be like a pair of jeans that I've had, just used consistently, can be worn multiple days in a row. Like all it pairs well with everything. My wife won't get mad at me if I wear them. All weather. I think that's business is it's a marathon. So it's just like what can be worn every day with anything. That's, I guess, the best example, though I have no idea if you looked at my closet what I would find.
I love this question. I've asked it about 250 times, and pretty much it's always a different answer. A lot of people focus on the footwear, other people focus on the clothes, or they're a baseball cap kind of guy or whatever, right? It's all about what makes each of us unique because we're people too. At the end of the day, we're not just entrepreneurs or small business owners or just selling and hawking our wares, right? We're trying to make a difference on this planet for others, for ourselves, our families. We're people. And
Absolutely.
I like this podcast to bring that back to that. So, with that, Justin Abrams, CEO of Aryo Consulting Group in Boston, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?